Reality exists in the human mind and nowhere else.
Let's step back for a second, because I think it's important for the American people to realize that the far left faction of Senate Democrats shut down the government because we wouldn't give them hundreds of billions of dollars for health care benefits for illegal aliens.
Well, I think in this instance, that's actually too simplistic. Here, Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the White House. And so for them to put the blame on Democrats is just not, it's laughable even.
In 1984, the government of Oceania, known as Big Brother, controls all information released to the public. By rewriting history and limiting access to the truth, the party shapes how citizens think and prevents them from questioning authority. In real life, governments and political groups can use similar tactics by controlling media narratives, sharing selected facts, and repeating ideas until people begin to accept them as the truth. Orwell warns us that when those in power control information, they ultimately shape society's public opinions and beliefs. In 1984, George Orwell, who had first-hand experience of the Spanish Civil War, warns us of the dangers of fascist or totalitarian governments. So if reality exists in the human mind and nowhere else, as George Orwell contends, then how do they get us to believe what they want us to believe? Fascism is a cult of the leader who promises national restoration in the face of supposed humiliation by immigrants, leftists and liberals, minorities, homosexuals, and women. In the face of what these fascist leaders say is a takeover of the country's media, cultural institutions, and schools by these forces. When fear is used as a psychological tactic of political manipulation, it pushes people to silence themselves by making them believe punishment is always possible, even when no one is actively enforcing it. Now, when fear is used as a psychological tactic of political manipulation, how does it push people to silence themselves without being forced? In 1984, the party controls citizens not just through constant violence, but through the fear that they could be watched or punished at any time. This fear causes people to monitor their own behavior, censor their speech, and control their thoughts. Over time, these behaviors become automatic, and people no longer need to be forced into obedience because they already have enforced the rules onto themselves. This form of control is especially powerful because it's invisible. The thought police do not need to arrest everyone because citizens learn to silence their own thoughts before they even turn into actions. Surveillance, propaganda, and fear all work together to convince people that speaking out is dangerous, pointless, or even socially unacceptable. As a result, silence seems to be safer than resistance. This same psychological tactic appears in modern politics. Lawmakers may avoid criticizing those in power, even when they know that their certain actions are harmful because fear of backlash, loss of status, or political consequences cancels out the urge to speak out. Ordinary citizens may also choose not to protest or question authority, not because they agree, but because fear has taught them to stay quiet. In both cases, fear transforms into self-policing. By using fear as a psychological tactic, political leaders are able to maintain control without constant force. In 1984 and in real life, power is preserved when people silence themselves, proving that psychological manipulation can be more effective than physical oppression. Another kind of control can be reinforced through language. Phrases like "for your safety," "national security," or "public order" are repeated to justify surveillance, restrictions, and enforcement. These phrases sound protective, but over time they make fear feel normal. People stop questioning these actions not just because they fully agree, but because fear teaches them to be safe and not question the government.
Attention Salt Lake City law enforcement. You took an oath to protect and serve, to keep your family, your city safe. But in sanctuary cities, you're ordered to stand down while dangerous illegals walk free.
As mayor, I'll protect the rights of every single New Yorker, and that includes the more than 3 million immigrants who call this city their home. But we can all stand up to ICE if you know your rights. New York will always welcome immigrants, and I will fight each and every day to protect, support, and celebrate our immigrant brothers and sisters.
In 1984, fear is always framed as protection of Oceania. The party claims every restriction exists to keep people safe from enemies. Freedom is presented as dangerous, while control is presented as responsible, and over time, obedience starts to feel logical instead of forced. That fear is reinforced through the constant reminder that Big Brother is watching you. This phrase isn't just a threat, it's a psychological warning. It doesn't matter if Big Brother is actually watching every moment. What matters is that people think he might be. That belief changes behaviors. People silence themselves before anyone has to. Slowly, fear becomes internal and control becomes automatic. This tactic is another factor of how psychological manipulation works. In conclusion, throughout this film, we've stated that control isn't force alone. By shaping information, creating fear, and making people police themselves, the party in 1984 ensures obedience without needing to constantly punish their citizens. In our world, surveillance, constant news cycles, and political messaging have similar effects. They influence all of our day-to-day actions. In Orwell's quote, "Nothing was your own except the few cubic centimeters inside your skull," Orwell 27, he captures this manipulation perfectly. And once the party is able to change the last few cubic centimeters in your skull, they've completely manipulated your memories. When fear and control shapes how society lives, freedom becomes fragile. The first step to resisting manipulation is awareness. By questioning what we're told, checking where information comes from, and noticing when fear is being used against us, we can fight back against the powers that be.